Well, the Biden administration, or the Biden campaign rather, is probably feeling revived energy now that new polling indicates that Biden is either equal to or pulling ahead of Trump in new polls, according to Bloomberg News and Morning Consult. In previous polls, measuring voters' preferences in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, Trump had boasted leads in every single one of those battleground states. But according to a March poll, Biden has drawn even with Trump in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and even pulled ahead of the presumptive Republican nominee in Wisconsin. In February, Bloomberg and Morning Consult had found that Trump was up by 6 points in Pennsylvania, 4 in Wisconsin, and 2 in Michigan. Trump did retain leads in all of the other key states. He leads by 5 in Arizona, 7 in Georgia, 2 in Nevada, and 6 in North Carolina. But in Georgia, his margin of victory increased by a single point from 6 to 7. But he previously led by 6 in Arizona, Nevada, and Pennsylvania, 9 in North Carolina, and 4 in Wisconsin. Here's a look at this March poll. So Trump performed worse in every single state except for Georgia in March as compared to February. You could see that here. Now, Cenk, polling of course has its risks. Sometimes it's unreliable. There's always a margin of error. I'm curious, do you think this shows that people are souring on Trump? Maybe they recognize that the alternative is worse than Biden, even for people who are upset by him. What do you make of this new polling? Is it worth reading into?
A lot of mainstream media don't give you honest news. We do. You know why? Because of you. Paid membership on YouTube makes all the difference. Hit the join button below and you become the hero that sustains us.
The first question is exactly right, which is it real? Should we care about this? And the answer is yes, it's definitely real. Polling is real. Polling is real when it's not going on to your benefit, which Democrats and Republicans hate. So if the polling isn't going to Trump's side, he's like, it's rigged, it's a fake poll. And the polling has largely been going in his direction throughout this campaign. So he said the other day, now I like polls. Polls are real now. Okay, so but hey, if you're making fun of Trump for that, Democrats do the same exact thing. So as Biden has been getting clobbered in the polling, every Democrat out of Washington is screaming, polls don't matter, polls are wrong. And now that there's a poll that's headed in their direction, they're like, we made polls are right. Look at these wonderful polls, right? So what's the reality? The reality is numbers are still numbers, science is still science. Is it a perfect science? No, that's why they give you a margin of error. Is every single poll within the margin of error? No. Are an overwhelming majority of them within the margin of error? Yes. So polling is definitely real, and this is definitely real. So there's really good news that comes out of this. This is point 2, which is that Joe Biden is now actually moving up. And look, that seemed nearly impossible as he slid further and further and further down what seemed like an endless slide into oblivion, right? So he has turned it around, and I've seen him campaigning better. And we pointed it out on the show. He did a couple of policy moves that were nicely done that Jordan and I talked about just a couple of days ago. His State of the Union was strong, as I explained to you guys. God, we're the most honest show in America. I've been telling you all the things that are wrong with Biden, but the minute he started doing things right, I told you what he was doing right? And his lines of attack against Donald Trump have improved, and we've talked about that. And now you are seeing the results and the fruits of that labor. So you do the right things, you get the right results. Now, point number 3, though, is super important. Guys, don't get carried away. Trump's still winning in a great majority of these states, and comfortably so. So he's still got a 7-point lead in Georgia. Remember, not only did Biden win Georgia, but the Democrats picked up the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. So we used to win everything as late as just a couple of years ago in Georgia. I know Georgia historically was red and then it became purple, but lately Democrats have been doing great there. Now they're down, Biden's down by 7. In Arizona, another place we've been surging, down by 5. Nevada, the Democrats should not be down in Nevada. It's barely purple in my opinion, based on polling numbers, real results in elections. But Biden is down in Nevada by 2. So these are still is that blue I see? Yeah, I see a little bit of blue. Okay, so you definitely have some hope. But at the same time, it's not like, oh, we knew it, we made it, we're past Trump now. We'll start measuring drapes and curtains and seeing what color you're gonna make the Oval Office rug in the next term. Don't do that. Because right now he's still losing.
I distrust most polls. I think just the method is faulty. It relies a lot on people answering their phone, people who are willing to answer the phone when an unknown number calls. It oversamples, and they try to correct this. Like to the credit of pollsters, they have tried to modernize. They have tried to correct that. Older people typically answer their phone more than younger people, but younger voters are increasingly becoming a larger and larger share of the electorate. So I always take polls with a grain of salt. That said, I think there are a number of people who were extremely frustrated with the Biden administration for a variety of reasons. I think Gaza was part of it, but it's not the only reason people were souring on Biden. I think a mix of the State of the Union, laying out a clear platform, laying out policy ideas that they can campaign on this cycle, which we didn't really have before that. John Iadarola and I were talking a couple months ago, and we were wondering, what is Biden's platform for 2024? And up until the State of the Union, I still didn't know. But now we have a pretty clear picture of what he wants to do, beyond just broadly protecting reproductive rights, which is important, has been a cornerstone of Democrats' platform for the past couple of years. We now see what he's doing. In addition to the stories that Cenk and I did last week about electric cars, that's a great promise that he could fulfill. It's within his power. You see protecting unions. He wants to address wages. We'll see if that happens. But on top of that, addressing housing costs, that's truly important. That, coupled with the push from AOC and Bernie Sanders, will get people talking about these issues, while most people who are in the Trump camp are just there because of a cult of personality. And I have to imagine he's slowly losing people because of his myriad legal challenges. At some point, there's going to be a breaking point for people in that camp. There's always going to be true believers, but I think people who are hardline conservatives who aren't necessarily in love with Trump as a person, as a candidate, as a figure, are going to sour on him. And the more these drag on, the more embarrassing news that continues to come out, you might start to see some attrition. That could help Biden in November, but we will see.
Last thoughts on this are, here comes Biden. So the fact that Biden is actually surging is not a little thing, guys. The reason is, I had a real legitimate question as to whether he could mount a comeback or if he was just dead man walking politically, right? And it turns out, no, he's got a little comeback in him. So that is not an insignificant sign of hope. At the same time, again, don't get deluded into thinking that Joe Biden is winning or that somehow he's supposed to win. Like a lot of Democrats think that as if they're entitled to the victory, but you're not. You got to go earn it. And so Trump is his own worst enemy. So Trump is hurting himself a lot, and that's what Biden expected. And they're running the strategy of let Trump hurt himself, and hopefully people will forget who Trump's even running against, and they'll vote for us based on the fact that we're not Trump. And for the moment being, that strategy is beginning to work. Having said that, if you're bragging about the Democratic nominee being tied in Pennsylvania and Michigan, you don't, like, that is not a thing to brag about. That's actually a really bad situation. So the fact that we've climbed all the way up to bad as opposed to where we were, which was terrible, it's a silver lining more than it is, woohoo, we made it. So let's see if he can keep it going. If he can keep it going, okay, then we got a ball game. But if he goes back down, we're right back to where we started. So ray of hope, but it's about 1 billion miles away from over.
If you were to take this polling and apply it to the Electoral College calculation, the Electoral College map, let's just say Biden does pull out Michigan, even though it's even. And he loses North Carolina, he loses Nevada, loses Arizona, and despite the great work that grassroots activists have done in Georgia and we have seen victories in Georgia, let's just say he also loses there. If he pulls out Michigan and Pennsylvania, and assuming he wins the one vote out of Nebraska and takes Maine, those two systems are so complicated. But let's just say, based on what the polling indicates, that's where it's going. It would be 270 for Biden, exactly 268 to Trump. Then enter what we know is going to happen. the legal challenges from the Trump campaign, the legal challenges from Republican operatives in these states. It's going to be razor thin if this polling holds, or to just say if the election happened today and this is what it was like. I am already worried about the election denialists who have been gearing up for this fight and saw 2020 as just a preview. I'm really, really worried, especially if it's this razor thin. They have to win in a landslide.
Yeah, they're not going to win in a landslide. So, are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm Jordan. I'm a little bit worried about what you're saying, but given that I definitely do not want Donald Trump to be president again, 270, 268, Trump loses, but whines and creates trouble. Oh, I would take that in a heartbeat. I think we'd be super lucky to get that kind of victory. And so cross your fingers that maybe we're on a pathway to get there. But we should be so lucky. That I think is the maximum of what Biden can do. If that's been my analysis all along.
But then you also have to recognize the challenge of third parties. I mean, No Labels is in the race. They could play a significant threat. They're on 15, 16 state ballots now. RFK, of course, announced his vice president pick, which Michael Schur previewed last night, got the scoop. He's only on the ballot right now in Utah, but that pick is because she can bring funding to help him get on the ballot in more states. These are just total outliers in these calculations, and it's not really taking into account in this polling. So I'm really worried that people who are fed up, I mean, I think we're both on the same page. People are really fed up with our options. Yes, people have tried to do something about that, but now we have a situation where people are fed up, people are disillusioned with the system, and you have people like RFK and a hypothetical No Labels ticket that presents people with other options. I'm just really, really concerned who those people pull from, who those tickets pull from, and what kind of dynamic that could present in November.
Yeah, so you should be worried, let alone there's the fact that there's Jill Stein and Cornel West. And when you put just RFK Jr. in, Trump's lead increases. When you put all of the third party candidates in, Trump's lead increases. So those are not good signs, and that's just the reality. So Joe Biden better do better and win this damn thing if he's going to be the Democratic nominee, and as it looks like he is. So he is doing a little bit better here, but there's still a lot of time here. And so look, I still have Trump winning and pretty comfortably. But these are good, encouraging numbers, so you never know. And guys, we're going to cover it later in the show. There's now somebody running who is called literally anybody else. And if they make it onto the ballot, they're going to take a lot of votes too, because that's how a lot of Americans feel. And they're tired of it. And unfortunately, that winds up helping Trump a little bit. So we'll talk about that later in the show. By the way, if you're a member, you get all of our shows anytime you want. So tyt.com/join or hit the join button below.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.